We just finished working with the chokes. Now we're gonna add additional attacks aiming the arm. We're gonna do the arm bar and the key lock. My opponent in this case, Tim, he's kind of getting ready to kind of fight a little bit. But yeah. So here, like I said earlier on, every time your partner faces one way, you want to get your knee off the mat to give room for your hands to intercept the elbow. If you don't have the elbow, at least try to hold the sleeve, okay, to prevent his arm from completing his escape. And here, as you pull, push the foot against the ground. That helps you put more pressure to get it flat, and eventually your knee slides underneath and you get the control. This position is really effective. Like for instance, as you see, I keep just a little bit of control over his wrist, and I'll rest my elbow right inside his hand, and I'll start driving him that way. Drive, okay. My second hand comes under, and I want to make sure you understand the grip. If I ever try to hold him with my fingers, my palm facing down, a strong opponent here will stretch out. Go ahead, stretch. It's really hard to maintain the control. Go back again. So what I'd like to see is what we call the X grip. You're not using your hands, you're going to use your wrist, and the arm that controls the wrist turns palm facing up, okay? So going back again, every time I place my elbow on his wrist, see, I add the other elbow too. That kind of adds a lot of pressure. Once I'm here, he's going to try to escape, and as he does, look how I kind of do the X here. I kind of turn my hand and I keep good control over my forearm. He's going to stretch his arm a little bit, but not fully. In case he ever accomplishes the full extension though, his arm is so tightly controlled that you can actually finish in a straight arm bar over here. My objective though, if I can, is to stop him from stretching all the way out. And here what I do is I turn my fingers down, okay, and I go all the way until the pressure kicks in. Starting the key lock from this position, what I have to deal with a lot of times is if I'm attacking, let's say, his right arm, okay, basically I rest one elbow against his forearm, and then I add a second elbow under his wrist. Okay, he's gonna bounce, bump. See, all I need to do is I keep one hand on the ground, but as you see, my elbow is still controlling his wrist. So he still is under the pressure for the digging of the position. Most often he's gonna give. Okay, go back again. Now, sometimes your partner, not only he bumps, he tries to get a hold of his hand. Like for instance, go back one step. If I was trying to attack 1 and 2, this arm here, yeah, sometimes it's gonna be kind of here. You see that? I was kind of going here. More often than not, people get stuck in this position, you know, and it kind of like becomes a roadblock. What to do when the guy holds it that way? I try to redirect my attention to whichever hand is on top. Okay? So if for some reason he's holding that way, the same elbow that was trying originally to push his right arm in this case switches direction and starts spreading out his other arm towards the other side. And here I'll switch elbows. I'll replace this arm with this one. As soon as I cross my arm over, I let go and the pressure kicks in. See what I'm saying? So I can switch, and here it goes to the same process again. I sink my arm underneath his elbow and I do the X grip. I don't hold with my fingers, I keep just my wrist back. Go ahead. Yeah, right here. See? I kind of lift my elbow slightly off the mat, go, and I put pressure with the other hand against the forearm so I can keep his arm flexed. Go ahead, stretch. See here, and eventually here, I add the pressure to finish him off. Some individuals are very strong, and you might experience sometimes difficulty driving his elbow down, his arm down with your arms. We have what we call the shock wave principle over here. If I ever feel here something's not working, when I start to push with the elbow, I back up my hip a little lower and I shake. See here, I kind of shake, and I kind of push back and forth my elbows, and I kind of, you know, rock my body, all my weight on top of his arm. So let's say if I was attacking, in this case his left side. So I get one elbow, get the other elbow. I feel it's kind of hard over here, lower my hip, shock wave, boom. The arm is right there. Here we go. Get the V grip. Okay. You're gonna notice whenever you succeed with the key lock, especially bigger guys, they're gonna try to roll sideways. Okay, for instance, let's say here I was attacking his right arm again. 1 and 2, shockwave. They kind of like, you see how they turn sideways here? What's the first rule for mount control? Whenever your opponent turns sideways, you have to establish, go ahead, turn a little bit. Yeah, your knee gets off the mat right away. Let me emphasize that one more time, please. Just turn sideways here. If I was ever going for the key lock here, my hand touch the ground, and I'll shift my weight. This knee has to go up, the other knee down, and I bring my heel as tight as I can against his body. Because of his sideways angle, I cannot finish him any longer on the key lock, but because he's giving me all the space here to work with, I'm going to target him on the arm that he's leaving behind. Okay? When I'm here in this position, a lot of times people tend to spend too much time trying to set up the armbar. They try to slide the knee, and then from here, you know, catch the arm, and then post the hand, and do the step over, which is the logical sequence. Jiu-Jitsu, unfortunately, is not logical. It is about timing and precision. So when I'm here and he turns sideways, I'll actually catch the arm that I was attacking originally, the key lock. I'm gonna grab inside his wrist right away. And my other hand, face over here, my other hand goes right away to the leg. That's balance control here, right here, and to prevent it from using that leg when I finish the position. I'll always do 2 steps, okay? A lot of times here, I want you to block me with that hand when I step over your head. Go ahead. You see here how he kind of catches my leg? My leg is not across his face. Go back. So after I catch, okay, I step above the head first. His arm is there waiting for me, okay? So I'll make a full circle over it. See how I kind of keep my right foot right now under his elbow? I already trapped his arm. He cannot use that for a while. In the meantime, reinforce your control, and eventually, see, he doesn't have the range to hold his hands together, which often can delay the finishing. Because I had the arm kind of blocked by my leg, I can easily, you know, point my elbow to the ceiling and slide my arm towards his wrist until I extend his arm all the way and finish on the armbar. The leg control works to avoid him from rolling over. If I was just holding his arm here, sometimes he can keep his arm flexed, and he's gonna, you know, again, go either way. One way or, yes, that's it. Back again. Okay? Once I'm here, try to do the same thing again. I pull his leg off the ground. See, keep my legs tight. As you can see, and I can use it, and eventually, get the pressure, finish the arm. Good job. Okay. Just putting together the whole thing one more time. One elbow, second elbow, lower hip, shockwave. Guy turns sideways. Switch legs. Same hand grabs the leg. Second hand grabs the leg. Step 1, step 2. Feed the lapel. Hold the leg again. Get your hips to work. Stretch your leg out. Breathe that grip. Okay, point your elbow to the ceiling. At this point in time, it won't make that much difference. Once his arm is almost extended, to let go of the grip and go for the finish right here. Try to keep the thumb pointing to the ceiling as you elevate your hip. One more element on the mount control is the cross face. Sometimes when your opponent tries to escape using the elbows against your leg, you might be a little late to work on his elbow. You're able to lift your knee off the ground, but you feel he's on the verge of escaping. What are you going to do next? I want you to make a V with your arm right above his eye. Keep moving a little bit. Okay, and you put your hand on the floor behind his head. Okay, keep moving. Here you stretch your arm. It's like a block right here. You see how his face gets stretched out? Go ahead, move. It's like a block. And now the nice thing about this cross face is I can add the V again, and then I stretch one more time. So as I keep adding the V and posting the hand on the ground, go back. Here, as long as his head is close to the side he's working on, he's going to be able to generate the leverage. Go ahead and skate. To skate. Go back. Start from the beginning, slow again. So as he goes here, I shift my weight. I try to keep my knees squeezing his body all the time. I try to keep my heels tight. Think you're riding a wild horse. You gotta sink the spur. Think that way. So you're here, everything tight. I couldn't catch his elbow. I couldn't catch his wrist. He's really hiding. So I'll catch the head. Go ahead. Hand on the ground, stretch. Hand on the ground, stretch. Eventually here, go ahead, keep moving. What I do real quick is, go ahead, keep moving. I just replace my arm just momentarily so his head doesn't work any further. And I go there and intercept, you know, the arm and get back to the top mount control. So think about the V cross face. One more time, slow. The cross face, like I said, keep moving, is not just blocking like this and not adding pressure. You see, this is a cross face that doesn't have any pressure. What I want, go ahead, is the forehead control. You don't want a low cross face. Keep moving a little bit. It's kind of hard for me to maneuver his face, just working too low. Go ahead. Forehead, hand on the ground, stretch. Forehead, hand on the ground, stretch. Replace your arm, recover the position. Here you're good to go. Now that you have two powerful tools to maintain the top mount, let's evaluate how you set up our next submission, which is the armbar. When you ride a horse, the gi is like a rein, okay? I'm here initially just for the top control. When I decide I want to attack, often I get into a higher stance and I use my hands to help open the way for penetrating the grip inside the lapel. As you see, my palm is up and I don't try to go straight against his neck. A lot of times you're going to scratch your partner's neck unnecessarily. I try always to kind of push slightly towards the shoulder. See, my objective here is to open up the lapel so I can reach a deep grip. Okay? Remember what I told you about, as soon as you get the grip on the gi, you have to change your head position. Instead of being aligned with the head, you gotta be aligned with the shoulder. So what do? I really post, strong post with my other arm, that's free, and I kind of do a little hip bump here. Look here what happened. See? Right now, I'm already anticipating, since I have the grip on his lapel, that he's gonna grab my arm and try to roll me that way. So here I have that foot posted on the ground, and I also have this hand far out enough that he won't be able to reach it. So I'm posted either way, foot on one side, hand on the other. I am stable. Like I said, elbow sinks against the chest, go ahead. And here right now, if I decide I want to go for the arm, this is what I'm going against, okay? I'm going against this arm. What I want to do now is show you the mistake that happens when you try to just use your leg. Elbow tight, please. See, I'm trying to actually bring his elbow up this way, okay? So I can eventually push his arm in. That's my objective. I'm gonna use my body for that. If I try to push just with the leg, go ahead. See, it doesn't go anywhere. You see how his elbow is kind of like, don't move your elbow. Yeah, good. What I do is I'm gonna use my hip, the outside of my hip. I back up a little bit, and I kind of put pressure on his shoulder. My knee actually opens a little bit to the side. You see how my hip here kind of forces his elbow out. See, my knee's pointed that way, not this way. There is some pressure on the shoulder there. Once he's here, my challenge now is to get his elbow all the way inside the other side of my hip. How do I accomplish that? If I want to push, go ahead. Pressure. See, I can't move his arm. Actually, what I do, once I'm here, I grab his elbow. I already have the lapel. Post that foot, the other foot, right foot, strong on the ground. I lift his shoulder. Look, I'm lifting him off the mat. Look how he's hanging here. You see that? Once he's off the mat, look what my body does. I place my body around his elbow instead of trying to push his elbow to the inside. As soon as that happens, though, there's a chance he might actually pull the elbow out. Go ahead, pull it. You see how I lost the position? So once you are at that critical point, that you're about to lift him and circle. Once the elbow is inside, on the side you want it to be, you lock the head. Because if he tries to pull the arm out now, see, I'm already raising him out the knee, sliding him out the knee a little bit. See, I'm blocking his shoulder with my hip. Okay? The finishing touch. Stay here. The finishing touch here is bring your other foot. I kind of move my toe and my ankle. See how my foot walks on the mat? Go back again. 1, 2, 1, 2. Everything tight. Remember not to leave any space. Get your hand underneath my leg for a second. You see that? Go back and step. You don't want that to happen. That's why you bring your foot high. You give him no room. And before he does anything, you grab and clamp. Despite the fact his hand is a little bit inside, he's in a bad spot. Lean forward. I still have the collar grip. I don't let go of the collar to go for the arm. The collar stays because it's better control. Step 1, step 2. And here to finalize, remember you want balance. Okay, deep grip, lapel control, punch, lift him off. Resist a little bit, Tim. Lift him off, get your hip under him. Okay, now chest high. I want you to bring his arm down. Look what I do here. This actually is a bicep lock. I'm pulling down. Because of the pain, he let go. Once you let go, I kind of go back and forth, stretch him out. Go back one step. Don't try to go against your back. You see here how, even when I'm almost having it, it's still hard. I kind of go back and forth. And here, finish him off. What we're going to see right now is a strategy that can make all the difference in accomplishing a submission once you start from the top mount position. I call this strategy evasion. What that means is you're not going to go after the submission. You're going to wait for your opponent to try to escape, and you're going to take advantage of any opening he leaves in order to trap him into the submission that you're going to go for. So how does that work? We're working earlier on with the elbow escape, which we saw every time the guy starts facing one way, you lift your knee off the ground, you either intercept his elbow or grabs his wrist, or if you're too late for that, you still try to work with a cross face, okay? Now, let's say here that instead of trying to prevent him from escaping, I give him some room so he can give me the opening that I want, and I'll take advantage of it as it takes place. So in this case here, let me just turn it again one more time so you can see the angle. As Tim gets sideways here and he starts to go after my leg, I'll try to hide my leg and move towards his side. But in the process, as you see his arm here, I'm gonna try, turn it again a little bit. I'm gonna try to get my elbow always inside his wrist. So as he gets more flat, see what I'm saying? I kind of add my second arm, and here I sink my arm under and trap. Okay. Once I trap the arm, we've seen this position before. If you're aware of it, we grab the arm, move a little bit, Tim. My first concern is to prevent him from turning either way. So I'll place my elbow right in front of his stomach, and I'll put my shoulder heavy against his arm. So if he tries to face against me, face this way, go ahead. I can stop him with my weight. If he tries to place his shoulder back on the ground, where I sink my elbow against his body, as you see here, I still have the grip against his elbow, my hand on the ground. I always keep that gap there. So he's kind of like in a very uncomfortable position here. And finally, when I have the angle, which is when he's more sideways, I have all this room around, I'll secure the angle by placing my leg behind his shoulder. By no means I'm going for the submission right away. I always try to reach out for his leg first, so I can prevent him from using one of his feet. That takes away a lot of his reaction. And I'm gonna, after I grab the leg, I'm gonna go one step deeper. I'm gonna try to get as close to his belt as I can. Once that happens here, turn around, turn around. I will step my other leg and try to hide my ankle under his elbow. So right now he doesn't have that arm, he doesn't have this leg, and I will just grab the sleeve, whether he has the grip or not. I'll move my hip forward and kind of do a zigzag. See how I kind of like go back one step? I don't try to pull straight back because I feel it's straining my lower back. Kind of go back and forward. Going back to the evasion attack, I'm gonna wait for my partner to escape or try to escape. And as Tim moves around, go ahead, Tim. Right before he traps my leg, I'll try to lean forward, coil my legs, and circle to the side mount. And I'll use my elbow to push as much as I can his wrist to open space for my arm. Eventually, I get my arm underneath and I have a good hold here. My hand on the floor, okay, elbow in front of the stomach, lean your shoulder against your partner, step behind, grab the leg, rotate and hide the ankle under the other arm. Eventually you feel the lapel, okay, as you hold, go ahead. You can always add your second hand for a wrist lock in case you feel he's preventing you from getting the stretch. You don't want to strain over here. You can go back to the leg, but at this point in time, since the arm is so extended, it is unlikely he's going to be able to do that much. Now, going back to the mount, still working the evasion. The evasion works well every time you can dismount and end up on the side mount. Here, he's going to do the same escape. As he positions to get his elbow and do the escape, go ahead. He's going to eventually add the hand. Do you see? Before he was just using the elbow. Now he adds the hand. That gives me immediate space to grab his arm. I kind of go with my hand underneath his elbow, and as he proceeds with the escape, I lean forward, kick my legs out, and right now actually it's a much faster trap. So if your partner does post the hand against your leg, he gives you the position right away. If he does not, and instead works with the elbow, you depend how his arm is positioned. For instance, if the hand is pointing up like that, you start going for the key lock. If the hand is pointing down, you start the same way. You're going to push the wrist, get under, and then you're going to set up the elbow in front of the stomach and go for the two-step armbar. Step one, grab the leg, turn around, wrist lock, finish. I'd like to cover one additional evasion attack. When I do establish the grip on the gi, and I'm doing everything according to the book, okay? My partner eventually succeeds in going for the escape, and I feel he's going to actually trap my leg. So what do? I lean forward, kick my leg out, and I end up with a knee on the stomach. As you see, my other leg is posted on the ground. I have my elbow heavy over here. Anytime he tries to face me from this position, I turn my elbow up. Go ahead, move a little bit. See how I change the angle to the other chest? I stay lower. Now I secure the lapel. I can go for the choke from the side mount. Here, I finish, okay? Some fighters like to actually, from here, they pull, they roll, they trap the opponent into the legs, and they finish up the choke from this position. Go back one step. Evasion again. You can play this drill right here, back and forth. Go back again. See how my elbow is heavy on the chest? Okay, one more time. Be here. Trap. Now, move over a little bit. I like sometimes to work to reestablish the mount from this position, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drive my knee wide, and I will kind of hook. I don't know if you see my right foot here. I want you to see what I'm doing here. See, I have my right knee on his stomach. As he tries to turn, see, I push the hip and I lift his leg with my hook. Face me again. that push the hip, look. You see how that hook, my right foot, he keeps lifting his thigh. One more time, please. And now my other leg hides under his elbow or inside his wrist, depending how his arm is. Right here. I slide my knee back, head down, spread my forehead out, choke him out. What we're going to see right now is a situation that happens also very often, the half guard. I can start from a variety of scenarios. For instance, we saw reversals from the guard earlier on, and we covered just a while back the top mount control or mount position. So here, whether my friend Clay is lying down here, if he does succeed, as I'm trying to maintain the top control, to trap one of my legs, that's the situation we're going to face right now. Okay? Other scenarios that you might see that happening often is when he's in my guard and I accomplish any reversal. But as I go into the reversal, he starts escaping. Okay? And I ended up not on the top mount, but with my leg trapped. The half guard again. So I'd like to cover at this point 3 basic and strong techniques to deal with this situation. What you want is, if you can, avoid your partner from developing any grip on your leg or trap you into his legs. Okay? So as soon as he traps, go ahead, trap. I want to keep my weight as low as possible. Move a little bit, Clay, go ahead, move. I want to keep my weight as low as possible. As you see my leg, my knees are squeezing tight, okay? I don't want to keep my legs too relaxed because he's going to follow up with his control and eventually block my second leg. I want to make sure that if he trapped one of my legs, that's all he's going to get, okay? So once I'm here in this position, move a little bit. I want to also avoid this, the underarm, okay? He can actually create a lot of problems. If he gets to this point, move a little bit. I start to kind of move my hip towards him, and eventually I block the head, pin the head to the ground, so I can generate space to undo his control. Going back again. Anytime he turns sideways, more sideways, it is bad for me. What I'll try to accomplish here is use this knee to chase his hip. Move, move, move. Do you see how I'm kind of like chasing his hip with my leg? Keep moving, keep moving. Eventually, I have to stop his head, pin, keep moving. Get my arm out, okay? Let's see now the transition from the top mount and see how we can actually anticipate the underarm or other situations that might make it more difficult for you to handle that position. So he's going to start going for the position. As he succeeds in trapping my leg, I get lower right away. That makes the angle more difficult for him to dig. Go ahead. See, here I can establish the cross face. Keep moving. And despite the fact that he has the arm under, I keep chasing his hip, and I will use the advantage of the cross face. You see how my shoulder is going to sink against his neck? Actually also works as a choke. Here, if he does not turn his face away from the shoulder, he's going to actually tap out. Okay, back up. Okay, so once I'm here in that position, the next element is my knee. I want to make sure that my knee will always beat this arm. So anytime I have the cross face and he wants to use the elbow to push my leg, go ahead. I push against his leg, go ahead. And eventually, I kind of bump my knee under his arm. So that's called the elbow killer. You want to make sure you always keep that in mind. Once I clear the elbow and I establish the cross face, whether he has the arm under or not, go ahead, more pressure a little bit. I kind of start working to get his knee open. I point his knee out so I can get my knee out here. I wish always this would be the only effort for me to release my leg and end up either on the top mount or side mount. But your partner is not going to give in as easy. Once he realizes that you're sliding your knee, he's going to try to intercept. As he goes for that, go ahead, keep moving. What's really important is that I keep my weight on his thigh for the entire time. I do not let, if you ever move your hip a little bit, I always match you. Move. I always match you. See what I'm saying? Here, like if he ever insists on moving his hip, go ahead, I'll grab his leg and actually kick my leg out and stabilize on the side mount. Turn around. But generally speaking, your partner is going to keep the legs crossed tight on your leg, so you won't be able to get your foot out as easy as you want it to. So here, go ahead, block. Eventually, when I'm here, I establish this control underneath the arm. Move your arm again, get your arm back. So I try to keep my arm kind of on the way here. Go ahead. In the process now, the key point to finalize the position is to switch the cross face into a choke. I let go of the cross face, establish the lapel grip with my right thumb in, left thumb, I'm sorry. And here I'm gonna put all the pressure. If he keeps facing the ceiling, this actually is a submission. I'm gonna sink the pressure all the way until he taps. He has, for the sake of protecting his neck, to face away from me. So as I put the pressure, he faces away, I keep sinking my knee all the way until I establish the mount position. So let's say you're in a transition situation again. I was in the mount, my partner succeeded in escaping, go ahead and put me in the half guard. Get lower, cross face right away. The knee right now is already alert, is already in position. For some reason his elbow was inside my leg. I keep working, I turn my hip, move, chase his hip, and eventually I beat the arm. Go ahead one more time. So here, look, I turn my hip, I keep chasing. See how I kind of pass through his elbow, eventually get out. Pressure of the shoulder against the neck. Okay, open, push the knee and open. Go ahead, keep moving. Intercept. Okay, good. I can kick my leg out anytime he scoots the hip. If he just stays with the leg trapped, I'll intercept the arm first. Walk with my hands on the mat. Look here how you walk with your hands. Keep strong pressure there, Clay. Look here, my fingers. Every time I walk, look, I open more space. Use your arm again. See? Don't let it. Switch now for the choke. Choke, 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 choke. As the guy faces away, you keep working. You can put your head on the ground if you want. Pull the elbow and eventually establish the top mount. The second option on the half guard is not necessarily escaping, but actually attacking from there. And one of the things you're going to notice when you're in the half guard, if your partner tries to protect against the cross face, which sometimes happens, your partner's going to be kind of sideways like this a little bit. See how his elbows are elevated over here? So if I ever try to hug his face, see, there's a block there. So I usually don't try to insist on the cross face. My main concern right now is to flat his body on the ground. So what I do, I will use my hip. Stay strong there, Clay. I walk with my foot and I push my hip against his hip, okay? Once he gets flat, because his elbows are kind of exposed, I'm gonna actually land my arm on his wrist, land my other arm on his elbow, and I do a little switch here as I pull one elbow and push his wrist with my other arm, and eventually I fall into a key lock position where, you know, I just put all the pressure until he taps out. So anytime your partner is trying to hide over here, move, 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 move. See, I try to flatten him over. Once he gets flat, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, sometimes, keep your elbow in. You don't have to go with this elbow if you feel you cannot reach. You can work with the other one. And then you switch for this one. And then you go back and do it. So the key lock, there's not a formula, whichever angle you can get. If the wrist is available, you can get the elbow in right away. But I think for the balance sake of the position, going here is not bad. So if I'm attacking his left side, I'll use my right arm first. Then I'm gonna use my left. And here as I push, I do a little pull with the right arm to kind of help as he resists. I kind of see how easy I can maneuver his elbow. And remember what I told you about the grip, it's not the fingers that you want, it's the whole wrist, turning your palm, and here, stretching out, okay? Now let's see, so this is the attack option from the half guard that I endorse. We did a cross face with a choke. Right now I want to cover one more easy and manageable position, which is the knee right pass. So once you're here, you can start everything the same. Okay, move a little bit, Clay. So here I chase the hip, I cross face, I crush the stomach, the throat. Go here, he starts to defend. I intercept his arm, okay? And here what I will do is switch direction. I'll move my head this way, okay? Lift my hip and point my knee out. Once I'm here, control his other arm, push his leg, kick my leg out into the side mount. Time. Okay, ready? Go, go, go. Flat, cross face, push, intercept, switch head position, control the arm at the end, keep elbowing, fight with your elbow, go ahead. I have to control the arm. I have to control the arm. I cannot let his elbow mess up with my leg. Now, one word here, if for some reason I feel I cannot kick the leg out, the two options that are most common, one is pushing his knee with your other foot, which often will allow you to release your leg. Or if you feel it's such a powerful, squeeze more your knees, it's such a powerful position that you can't get out, redirect again, your knee, go ahead, move. Control the arms and add, you're gonna add a second hook. I raise my hip, add a second hook, push his knee. Now I spread it out his legs. I can either mount or trap again. I spread out his knees. Once I'm here, I side mount. The side mount will give me the submission because his arm is already trapped. So I can position my elbow in front of his stomach and go for the two steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to tell you now a very important situation that you have to be aware when you do the half guard escape. Some students, they're tricky enough that they're going to use a hook under your shin, and that can really limit your ability to release the leg. We're going to see that in a second. I am in the half guard, and as you notice, Clay not only has my leg trapped the way that conventionally happens, but he will add the second element, which is the hook under the shin. Go ahead, Clay. I don't know if you can see from here right now how his hook is inside my leg. So if I try to do everything else, stretch me out, Clay, stretch me out, yeah, push me away from you, I cannot use the cross face anymore because my leg is trapped so tight and that hook allows him to push me away from him, so he already neutralizes my weight. I cannot put my weight against his neck. I cannot progress into escaping unless I address this problem first. How do I do that? First of all, as soon as he gets me into this position, okay, keep moving there for a second, I switch right away into the choke mode. Go ahead and move. See, I kind of keep control over his head, and I'll keep my knee really tight over here because he's going to be trying to actually get this leg under control. So keep my knee tight. What I really want to accomplish here is to eventually get my foot inside his thigh. So the leg that I have free, I'm going to try to hide my foot inside his thigh. Okay? As he keeps the pressure there, go ahead. I keep moving back. Now that I have that foot inside, I'll try to pin that knee against the ground. Okay? And I'm going to try right now, as I do that, keep pressure there, please. I'm going to try to kind of stretch my leg out. Go ahead and try to chase me there. Can you go? See how he's trying to sit up? Can you sit up? He cannot sit up. He cannot put me in the guard right now. He's in a certain discomfort because I'm working on his neck. Now, if I just keep my leg extended like that, there's a good possibility if I just go easy, he's going to actually recover that hook again. Okay? So once you kick your leg out, you have to go against your partner's knee and do an extremely strong push and pull your leg at the same time. So it works kind of like you're jerking your leg out. See? Whether he let go right away or not, I'm going to have my knee high enough that he won't be able to catch my shin in the second attempt. And here, as you see, I still have the choke, so I'm keeping him on check. Go ahead, move. And I get my knee on top. Right now, I can choose where I want to go. I can release my legs and get to the side mount. So seeing, is your neck all right there? Good. The choke control makes a big difference on his ability to react. He almost like it pacifies your opponent into a situation where he can't fight back until I let go his neck. So going back again for the same, hook under the shin, position from the bottom, half guard. As soon as your partner gets you here and you start stretching you out, you want to kind of get heavy and your elbows tight. You get low on his body. Secure the lapel across his neck with your thumb as soon as you can. And he tries to sit up or push you, you put pressure against the neck. Don't let it happen. Here right now, you instead of trying to fight, you're going to try to establish the hook inside the knee. Okay, right here. Once you have that, that will give you enough lever. If he tries to keep the position tight, you put pressure with the hook, kick your leg and stretch your leg all the way. You see how the leg is stretched out? Remember, you don't want to give him a second option. So once you push the knee, it's a big movement. Push and pull the leg high at the same time. Right now here, keep moving, keep defending. See, I still have the choke, so that limits his reaction. And here, as you see, I can actually choose to mount if I want. Often enough though, I'd rather go to the side mount, just for balance purpose. What we're going to see right now is what I named after one of my students from Australia, the Pirage Flip. This position blends really well with several of the techniques we worked earlier on. And it's very easy to do, and Clay and I, we're going to go over it right now. As you see, I have the collar control. When I control the arm, instead of trying to reach for the elbow, I want to keep a low grip on the wrist. All I need is a thumb inside, and I move as if I'm going for a simple sweep. But as I do it, my foot blocks his hip. I bump my hip a little bit, and my other foot will block his leg. Okay? As I do that, I stretch him out, bump my hip, and I pass my hip under his arm. What's really important here is as I do that, I keep pulling his collar down, and I push. You see it's called the punch grip. I punch his wrist in. As soon as I feel his arm is getting out of the way, I'll sink my hooks, both of my feet inside his legs, sit up, and grab the belt. As I grab the belt, it's very important that I do not leave space. Otherwise, he's going to get his arm under and neutralize my position. So here, I'll keep the elbow really tight to avoid him from getting the arm out. And my other arm is going to grab under, okay? Once I'm here, I try to lean forward. I move my hip and my shoulder out of the way, stretch his legs out, and I use the lever of lifting his arm and kicking the leg at the same time. The second situation starts the same way. But as I go for the position, one, post your hip, post against the leg, bounce your hip, punch grip, pull. I'm going to decide actually to go to the back. What I do, I stretch out the far leg, and then I kind of stretch it over here. I use this foot against this knee to flex him out a little more. And from here, I climb, get my hooks. As I get my hooks, I try to immediately spread out his legs and his elbows, so I can establish better control. The third option, collar control, sleeve grip. Move your hip as you're going for a simple sweep. One, move my hip out, push, bump my hip, punch grip. If I feel resistance going this way, I'm trying to kind of get him to get flipped that way, and he's shifting his weight opposite. I'll grab the arm, pull the arm, lift him, push the belt, and push his hip with my knee. Hook flip to the opposite direction. One more time. One, two, three, four. One thing here I'd like to demonstrate. Your hip has to pass under your partner's arm. So you don't go under the first arm. You kind of put your arm in between. Okay? As you grab here, he's keeping his arm posted. So what I will do, I lean my back on the ground and I bump my hip. Do you see how that kind of overwhelms that arm there? Here I stretch both hooks a little bit, move my back out of the way so I can create more angle for him to fall. And eventually I kick and end up on top. Hook flip now. So I'm going for the same thing. If you want to try to go here, there is some objection here. I can actually use the same grip here right now. You see how he's posting that leg? I'm trying to flip him that way. So I feel like objection here. I don't have to switch, although it's a good grip. I can actually keep this control here. I put my shoulder on the ground and pivot on my shoulder, push the belt and kick and get the flip. What we're doing right now is a variation of the same reversal, ferocious flip, but my opponent will stand up at this time. And the position doesn't change that much, with the exception of some additional advantages I might encounter. So my partner will stand up, go ahead. I have the sleeve in the collar. It's really important for me to move and establish the foot on the hip, okay? I have to establish that. Always add pressure on the lapel, pulling the lapel down, okay? So your partner, if he tries to get a posture there, see, you kind of keep him, you know, in a bad situation here. You start moving your hip out, back and forth, push the leg, and as you position, you don't have to move your hip so much. It's more rotating your shoulder. But remember this, keep your arm tight. You need to punch grip. So keep your arm really tight. Now bend your elbow a little bit. Sometimes, you know, if you ever feel here, there's no pushing, you turn. See that? Go back again. So just relying on the pushing alone is not enough. You gotta turn. As you turn, see that foot is inside, your hook is not light. You're gonna grab the belt and pull the belt and stretch your shin a little bit. Do you see how his leg starts to get extended a little bit there? Grab the opposite arm, use your other foot to drag. Since he's standing up, I can actually use either my hook or my knee or my arm to reach out for the other leg. Once I accomplish that, base that clay, base. Yes. Here, what do? I lift and I rotate my knee to the floor. You see the hook here? I start to rotate, stretch them out, and eventually here, establish the reversal. Once more, please. This, in my opinion, is one of the most effective reversals that I know of. Slow, sleeve grip, collar control, go ahead, stand up. 1, 2, punch grip, belt control, keep it tight, keep moving. Stretch them out, look how I stretch them out. Here I move my whole body. Instead of trying to move the hip, I move my back too out of the way, and eventually go for the flip. As you see, I already have the arm trapped. So we've done that before. I always like to emphasize elbow in front of the stomach, shoulder down against the arm. Step one, grab the leg. Step two, finish your partner with a straight arm bar. I'd like to share with you right now a great reversal from the guard, the hook flip. And we're going to try to work several scenarios. And hopefully, by the end of this sequence, you're going to feel all the difference in your guard game. Clay and I are going to start first when he's low on his knees. And the two basic setups that we're going to work with, one is the double sleeve control, the other one is the arm and collar control, okay? The double sleeve, as Clay starts moving, I try to anticipate him standing up by posting a heavy and strong foot on the hip, move enough that I can fit my foot under his leg, okay? Once that happens, I'll try to take advantage of this space, whether he has his arms extended or bend your arms a little bit. I'll try to get my elbow or shoulder inside, back up a little bit to create space for my under grip, okay? Once I have that, I'm going to start working to push, pull, shoulder on the ground. I pull his leg out a little bit before I kick, okay? Go back again. A lot of times here, turn your hip, right? Yeah, right here. Do you see how Clay's turning his hip? That position there kind of puts a stop on my level. Go back one step. So right before he accomplishes that, I pull his leg out. So if he tries to turn the hip, he has a lot of pressure, you know, to fight against. Once I start the lifting, I help with the grip on the belt or the gi. I push, pull first, and here I'm allowing my grip here to keep his arm extended, push your arm on the ground. See, here right now I choose to pivot on my shoulder. I can just go from here, or I back up my shoulder a little bit. Go back one step, back up the shoulder a little bit, and here that creates a lot of pivot. I use the hook and the knee through his hip. Going back again. Let's see the sequence. No stop initially, and I'll emphasize the points right after. Basic points: double sleeve control, dancing with your hip, heavy foot on the hip, dump your hip enough that you have room for your feet. Once you get one foot inside, as you sit, you hide your other foot under, okay? Turn your shoulder, whether you have space or not, keep your elbows more. I want you to kind of get your elbow, you don't have to keep the grip all the time, just the elbow in and back up a little bit to open space to grab, okay? Once you start the position here right now, the two things I want you to remember. Number one, the right leg in this case, pull his leg out a little bit. As I start pivoting on my shoulder, resist. Look what my shoulder will do. I keep lifting, pulling my shoulder out. That gives me more rotation. And eventually, the kick will prevail and take him down. One time again. Just change the angle straight right now. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here what we see here is a leg posted, which can delay or actually prevent the flip from taking place. As you see, my hook is very strong against his hip. If you ever try to rotate the hip, I have a lot of power there. Okay, what I like to do though, I want to have my foot reaching outside that shin. So what I do is I back up my hip a little bit. I pull him back to the inside of my guard with that hook. You see that? I drag him back with the help of the belt, and eventually my foot kind of reaches out. Okay, once my foot reaches, I just kind of trip him. And here as he resists, go ahead, I kind of like pull that leg out and finish the position. Go back again one more time. One, two, three, four, five. Let's see one situation that you really want to be aware of in order to succeed with the hook flip. You're going to realize that at this point in time, I'm going to start with the position already going. My partner has everything good to go. Okay, he wants to flip me over that way and hopefully finish the position on top. Go back. Now look how my hip will operate. You want to see two angles here. Go ahead and do the same thing again. Go ahead, flip. See, I post my hand, post my leg, and I keep rotating my hip. Do you see how I eventually overcome his hook? He already lost the position. Over here, go back again. Turn this way now. Same thing again. Go. So basically what I'm trying to accomplish here, every time I feel he's trying to lift me and take me that way, I'll post a wide step, I'll stretch my leg and throw my hip forward in a rotation. Okay? How do you avoid that? That's the question. We're starting already with the hook situation here. Prior to starting the position, you want to pull the leg out and keep pulling the belt against you. Okay, go back again. Okay, rotate your hip. Go ahead. You see, he's trying to rotate the hip, but there is enough pressure here to rotate that it prevents his hip from evolving. Here right now, I might be able to flip him. Now, if that foot represents a problem, I'm not going to wait and try to fight against it. Sometimes I might try to push the belt. That might be enough. But the easy way is to actually drag him back to your guard so you can reach out against that leg that's posted. And here you kind of pull the leg and make it collapse. Shoulder okay?
Yes, sir.
Good job. So basically when I have the hook flip, belt grip, sleeve grip, back up my hip, I pull his leg out and I pull the belt against my leg. So I kind of lock that side of the hip. When I go flip and I feel he posts, in case I don't push enough, I bring him back and add my second foot and do kind of like a sweep-like position. Just to finalize one more time, this way. Pull the leg out, lift, partner post, bring him back, trip the leg, flip him over. Let's talk a little bit about elevation. You need to elevate your partner whether he cooperates or not, which is going to be the case in this situation. As you see here, let me start from the beginning again one time. Let's see, I'm going to set up the position. You're not fighting yet. You get everything ready to go. Now here you sprawl out, your head, sprawl out, yes. How can I elevate my partner when all his weight is down on my foot? Okay, here I'm pulling out. So basically, the pressure of the belt pulling against my leg guarantees that I'm going to have enough lift. But if for some reason that's not enough, let's evaluate here. Stay heavy, stay heavy, stay heavy, stay heavy. What's happening here is not my foot, it's actually my knee that does the job. Okay, swing for another angle, turn around please. Stroll out please, stroll out, stroll out. See, instead of trying to keep the tip of my foot, I get deeper. You see here, I open his leg. You see how my knee's against the hip? Now when I lean my shoulder back, I get the position here. He's pretty much done here. I think I can go and take it. And like I said, turn around. Sprawl, sprawl, sprawl. Good drill. Try to turn your hip. Turn your hip. Look, my foot kind of blocking there. Bump, bump a little bit. Fight back more a little bit. Look how that foot stays because I'm pulling the belt. When I land, look, he's coming. I can take him down right now, or I can pull him back, reach out for the foot, and trip his leg. One additional explanation about the hook. The hook is not the only option. Like I said, the knee can be a very powerful tool. So when my leg is extended, I'm not trying to kick him. I'm trying to actually make this motion here with the leg. I bring my knee up, and then I either kick with the leg, or I rotate on my shoulder, and I actually use the knee with the addition of the belt push. Put it together in position. One more time here, please. Let's end here already. The ideal position, belt grip, sleeve grip, resist, pull out, elevation. Good. Put that one more time. So the elevation principle here, go ahead one more time. I want you to be really flat now, really flat, turn, yes. What I do is like I try to really keep my toes pointing up. And the key here is to keep the belt pulling against the hip. If you let go of anything, you might escape here. Don't ever try to flat your back straight on the ground. That's very bad for you. You always try to use your shoulder only on the ground here. Here we go. Here you go. Go. Resist more, more resistance, more resistance. Look how I can keep track of him over here. I can increase the lever. Look how I'm trying to keep his arm from coming. Post your arm on the ground now. I'm gonna kind of, let's say here he posted the arm. I stretch out and I still reach his leg. Back and over and flip. Go back one more time. Working the same setup, but this time right now, instead of working the sleeve grip, I'm gonna work with the lapel grip. Okay, so I'm here. It's like I'm going for a simple sweep. And from here start. I like to work under the arm, but if for some reason I have no space, hide your elbows. I'll reach out above the shoulder too. Okay, and I'm gonna work the same position. Pull, pull, push. Okay. One more time. This position, by the way, one more time here. 1, 2, keep fighting a little bit. Come on, fight. Fight. If I feel here that he's not coming to me, I want you to retreat a little bit more. See, I can feel tempted to actually go forward. I control the leg, bump my hip, pull my knee out. Okay? And here I use my weight forward to actually flip him on the ground. Okay? So I go forward against his body instead of trying to drag him on top of me. This is a strategy you use when your partner starts to retreat. One more time. See here? Sometimes I actually push the arm against the ground instead of letting go of the arm, which I don't like to do it. Keep fighting a little bit. Here you go. And I go forward. My knee across. One additional point I want to emphasize is when you set up the position. A lot of times everything is great, everything's going your way, but your partner will post the arm on the ground, as you see here, so that can generate enough leverage. I might be able to overcome that still doing the pulling of the leg, because once I start switching his leg, my hip. But go back again. One more additional strategy here is to kind of get his hand, okay? Get his hand and your body out of the way, and here you open the angle to actually climb to the back. So if your partner, as he gets elevated, I already have this arm, he decides to throw this one here, you're gonna use that arm as the tool to eventually get the back. One more time. Once you get here, it's always good to use that hook if you need to stretch him out. You see how I put his weight lower and his body gets more flat? So the hook has the power not just to pull and lift, but also to push the opponent back. Just one more time, please. Here we go. Push your leg too. Right there. I wish I could finish this DVD teaching you everything about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But as you saw a few seconds back and throughout the DVDs, several of the techniques have so many different nuances and variations that it makes it almost impossible to cover all the material in one DVD set. And I can tell you throughout all my life, I'm doing long enough Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to realize that there is no end to what you can learn. And that the more you learn, the more you realize there's still yet to be learned. So this is a journey that there's no limit, there's no end. All I wanted to accomplish at this point is give you some fine ideas and demonstrate easy to do techniques that I hope you strengthen your game and make you a better martial artist. And I'm sure that there will be several questions yet to be answered. And if I cannot answer those at this opportunity, I look forward to having a chance again to share with you some more knowledge and hopefully then answer all the questions you might have. I'd like at this opportunity also to call two of my top students, Tim Burrill from Burrill's Academy in Rhode Island, who was kind enough to join me in this production, and Mr. Clay Pittman from Pittman's Academy in Lubbock, Texas. This trio here has embarked on a journey that we had a great time, and we can wish you guys all the luck in your training, and I'll be eager to hear from all of you about how well you've done the techniques and what else I can do for you. Thanks again.